Welcome back to Golf Extra. Many golfers are good, some are even great, but only a select few can claim to the title of number one golfer in the world. Since April 1986, the official World Golf Ranking has attempted to solve any debate by ranking the top golfers in the world on a weekly basis. So, there is always a number one player in the world. However, there can only be one top player at a time, so some players are bound to have very short reigns as king of the golf world. In today's video, we'll be looking at those players with the fewest cumulative weeks as the best players in the golf world. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more videos just like this one. Now, let's get right into our list of the golfers with the shortest time as the world's number one ranked player. David Duval, 15 weeks. David Duval may have had a short stretch as the world number one golfer, but he has another claim of fame. He ended the first lengthy reign of one of the greatest golfers in history. Tiger Woods had been the number one golfer for 55 out of the previous 63 weeks and 41 consecutive weeks as he started out his career with a bang. It looked like no one would upend him until David Duval hit his stride in early 1999. Duval had been quite successful to that point, already winning 3 tournaments in 1997 and 4 tournaments in 1998. However, he hit a new level in 1999, winning the Mercedes Championship, the Bob Hope Chrysler Classic, the Players Championship, and the Bell South Classic, almost all before he got into the top spot in the world. Duval continued to play well throughout the summer, but Tiger eventually came back with a vengeance, retaking the number one spot in August 1999 and holding it for over 5 years. Duval, meanwhile, won only 2 more PGA tournaments after his top ranking. His career eventually hit a sharp decline due to several injuries and personal issues. Justin Rose, 13 weeks. Justin Rose has been a professional for nearly 25 years and has racked up wins at a pretty impressive rate. He has 24 total pro wins, equating to about 1 per year over his whole career. There was one point in his career, though, where Rose absolutely caught fire and was briefly known as the best golfer in the world. In 2018, Rose started out with a win at the Fort Worth Invitational in May, then finished tied for second at the 2018 Open Championship in July. Already high on the rankings by then, it only took runner-up finishes at the Dell Technologies Championship and the BMW Championship to move him into the world number one spot. Throughout the next 6 months, Rose battled for the top spot with Brooks Koepka and Dustin Johnson, having 5 different stints at the top. This stretch included wins at the Turkish Airlines Open and the Farmers Insurance Open before he tailed off. He has yet to regain that scorching form, and he remains a solid threat to win on any given weekend. Adam Scott, 11 weeks. Adam Scott went professional in the year 2000, but took a little while to get up to his peak. He was eventually able to get there by the 2014 season when he played the best golf of his career and achieved the world number one ranking. He accomplished this in part through his exceptional play at the Arnold Palmer Invitational, where he set the course record and finished in 3rd place. In fact, even after he became the top-ranked player, he solidified this further by winning the Crowne Plaza Invitational at Colonial only a week later. Scott's 2015 season took a downturn, and he hasn't got back on track since. Still, he's won a handful of events and remains prominent on the world stage. Ernie Els, 9 weeks. Ernie Els, who was nicknamed the Big Easy, had an easy enough time getting to be the number one ranked golfer in the world. In 1997, he won the Johnny Walker Classic and then followed it up with a win at the U.S. Open. Just a week later, he won the Buick Classic, and this was enough to catapult him to the number one spot. However, he would only hold the top spot for 1 week before losing it to Greg Norman. Els got back on top following more good play in early 1998 when he won both the South African Open and the Bay Hill Invitational in the span of only 2 months. Though Tiger Woods retook the top of the leaderboard for a 1-week span, Els mostly held that top spot up until June 1998. Though that was the end of his time as the world number one, Els continued to find success, even winning the Open Championship in both 2002 and 2012 among several dozen other events on the PGA and European tours. Martin Kaymer, 8 weeks. Martin Kaymer was the number one ranked golfer in the world for an 8-week period from late February to late April 2011. He had won his first major, the PGA Championship, in August 2010 and continued to find additional success after that launchpad victory, mostly on the European Tour. He won the KLM Open in September, the Alfred Dunhill Links Championship in October, and the Abu Dhabi HSBC Golf Championship in January 2011. A runner-up finish at the 2011 WGC Accenture Match Play Championship catapulted him into the top spot in the world. However, Kamer wasn't satisfied with the results yet and decided to make some changes to his swing technique in order to more effectively position the ball on his shots. This swing change had a negative impact on Kamer's game as he missed the cut at the 2011 Masters and became very hit or miss for the rest of the year, losing his ranking in the process. Kamer hasn't reached that same consistent level of form since, but he did hit a key putt to win the Ryder Cup for Europe in 2012 and also won the 2014 U.S. Open. Justin Thomas, 5 weeks. Justin Thomas has been one of the faces of the PGA Tour for much of his career, but he hasn't yet had that dominant stretch at the top of the world leaderboard that many had expected of him. He did reach the top spot in May 2018, following a win at the Honda Classic and several other close finishes, including a playoff loss to Phil Mickelson at the WGC Mexico Championship. This consistently strong performance won him the #1 spot from Dustin Johnson, but not for long, as Johnson snatched it right back with a win at the FedEx St. Jude Classic. It was somewhat ironic then that Thomas gained the top spot back, albeit years later, with a win at the WGC FedEx St. Jude Invitational. However, he could only hold on to it for a week and hasn't been back to the #1 spot. But with how good he can be at his peak, we're betting that Thomas will find his way off the list eventually. Bernhard Langer, 3 weeks. Bernhard Langer ended up on this list, but it wasn't due to poor performance. In fact, if the world golf ranking had started at the beginning of 1986, he might not even be on this list. Langer was the very first golfer to be ranked #1 on the official world golf ranking upon its inception on April 6, 1986. His best years were between 1985 and 1986, where he won the 1985 Masters Tournament and the upcoming Sea Pines Heritage Tournament on the PGA Tour. During this time, he also won the Lufthansa German Open and the Panasonic European Open on the European Tour, and he was often competitive in other tournaments. His spot was eventually taken over by Seve Ballesteros, who would then trade the spot with Greg Norman for the next 3 years. Langer continued to be successful, especially on the European Tour throughout the next few years, but he never got back on the top of the rankings. Tom Lehman, 1 week. The all-time shortest stretch as the world's top-ranked golfer goes to Tom Lehman. This is a little misleading because Lehman was a very good golfer for almost a 15-year stretch, but he came up short plenty of times with 19 runner-up finishes during that time period. This included a 3-year stretch in which Lehman was the 54-hole leader every time, but ultimately failed to close the deal, with his best finish coming as a runner-up in '96. Lehman's best run of form came during late 1996 and early 1997 when he won the 1996 Open Championship and the Tour Championship. This ultimately led to a 1-week stretch as the world #1 golfer in April 1997, which was sandwiched between ruling stints by the Aussie Greg Norman. Although he would lose the title after only that 1 week, Lehman continued to be a successful player on tour. He eventually became the captain of the U.S. Ryder Cup team in 2006 and has had quite a bit of success on the Champions Tour as well. So, what do you think about our list of the golfers with the shortest time as world #1? Do you think that any of these players will get back to the top spot in the future? Be sure to leave us a comment with what you think down below. Make sure you like, subscribe, and turn on post notifications so you can watch our latest content updates as soon as they drop. We'll catch you in the next one. Have a great day.